Okay, after the death of this guy, and she gets back, and she ends up having to take her stuff and go stay at uh, Nate's apartment with the rest of the guys because they're trying to keep her safe. Nate start, or Carter, how do I keep saying that? No. He starts having more vivid dreams and things start getting really bad for him. Now, he's not sleeping at all at this point. Um, it's starting to get to where he doesn't know if he's awake or he's asleep at this point. So he just decides he's not sleeping because he doesn't understand what's going on. Now, they ask Nate comes over to ask Ashley if she can help because they're now at this point they're really worried about Heath, and of course she agrees. Well, when they go over and she finds Heath in the library. He looks like dog mess. This has been a week of him really not sleeping and all this other stuff happening. Now he has been to this Dr. Fox guy, but obviously it's not doing any help. I mean, it's not doing anything to help. And you got to think something is not right with him as well. And you'll figure that out too in the next book. Something is starting to happen. And now with Ashley's help, everybody's starting to put two and two together that something is going on campus. And it does have to do with the DBs, but it also has to do with something that is way more internal, if that makes sense. So when she actually gets him to fall asleep that night, he re-wakes up, and then they, of course, do whatever, and they get it on, and then he goes back to sleep. Well, the second time that he wakes up, she's trying to call his name, but he's like there, but not there. It's like he's in some kind of dream walk state in a way. And he's getting dressed, so she assumes that he's going to the restroom. Well, she kind of dozes off, and like 30 minutes later, she wakes up, and he's still not back. So now she's really worried that something's not right. So she goes to look for him. Well, she can't find him. So now she's calling Royce. She's calling Carter. She's calling Nate, trying to get them to answer their phones, but nobody's answering. So she starts going around campus, which is unsafe for her, but starts looking for all of them for Heath by herself. And then she finds 4 robed, people dressed up in DB stuff, and she realizes one of them's Heath because he has no shoes on. So she trying to yell at him, but still trying to call Nate and get him to answer. Well, it keeps going straight to voicemail. Well, she walks into this building, the science building, and trying to look in there because she knows that that's a place that they go and hide, or that they go and do their thing. And when she gets in there, she doesn't find anybody else. And so she hears Nate's phone ringing because she's still trying to call Nate. Well, eventually, somebody grabs her arm, and she doesn't realize that it's Nate at first. She thinks she's trying to be taken again. And he finally is like, no, it's me, it's me, it's me. And then, they get back to her room, and she's like, I have to go after him. And he's like, no, I have to keep you safe. They wouldn't want it any other way. And all this kind of she's just now realizing he's still in this DB uniform. And she's like, why are you dressed like that? And he goes, what are you talking about? And he kind of looks down, and he's in shock because he says, I don't know. I don't know how I got here. I don't know how I got there. I don't know what's going on. And so Nate's starting to try to play this stuff in his head, and she's like, okay, what is the last thing you do remember? And he said, I remember coming over here and asking you for help. I went home and went to bed because you didn't ever call and say you found Heath. And he's like, and then I kept hearing my phone, and I woke up and I was on the south lawn, and I was dressed in DB uniform. And she's like, okay, that don't sound right. And he's like, I know, but that's what's going on. So then she's like, okay, well, I gotta go help Heath and the rest because they don't know what they're doing. There's something going on. He's like, I can't let you do that. Well, finally, she's not taking no for an answer. So they end up going back to they start smelling smoke. And he looks out the window and there's like a big fire. The whole building to one of the biggest buildings on campus is on fire. And they start putting two and two together. Well, they decide, okay, well, now's the time we need to go to the apartment and wait on them and wait for them to get back because they could be hurt. So they get over there, and when they walk in, they're in a hurry. And Royce is standing there, freshly showered, like nothing ever happened. And Carter comes sleepily out of his room, and he's like, "Oh, hey, look, Ashley's here." It's the middle of the night, and they're acting like totally nothing happened. And they're still thrown off because they don't know what's going on yet. Well, then the next thing you know, they're like asking her questions, and he's like, "Why do you smell like smoke?" And Carter's like, "I don't know why I smell like smoke," because Carter now is still confused as all get out why she's with Nate on top of all of it. And Nate is asking, like, "You don't know what's going on? Y'all don't remember anything?" And of course they're like, why should we? And then all of a sudden they ask where Heath is. And the next thing you know, they hear this big like crash. So they all take off running to Heath's room. When Ashley opens the door, she sees Heath with a homemade noose dangling from his ceiling fan. And that's where the book ends. So, yes, it is a very, very long series, but it is a really good series. And this is where everything starts coming to light, though. So you have to know the full first book in order to start kind of understanding the key points in the second. So we will be doing the rest of the series. But just wanted to get this whole series done because I told y'all I would, and it's been a little while coming, and it should have been done this week earlier, but, it takes a while. But I hope you all enjoyed this one. Come back for the next book where it actually gets deep, and you're going to actually find out what's really starting to go on and why everything is playing out the way that it is. But I enjoyed this one a lot. Yes, it is worth the read. Yes, it is long, like I said, but it gets to the point. It does take a few minutes or a while to get to those points and to the key points, but there's a lot of in between that you have to read about. So I hope that y'all do read it. Let me know what you thought. Bye.